Okie dokie. So you're short on time, lack the resources, or you're too lazy to work on every painful little detail? Well, me too. Let me show you how you can get started so that you're not just looking at a white project all day. I'm gonna use the universal render pipeline, and it's gonna be like lazy project because I'm gonna do this all with online assets so that we don't have to do any programming or anything like that. Let's go. All right, so we're in the project. I'm gonna remove the README and we're gonna jump into Package Manager and open up your browser. Jump into the Unity Asset Store, and there's a lot of free assets that will allow you to get started, get to wherever you're trying to get to. Let's say you want to make an FPS. Here, let me go down here under the pricing, free assets. You're trying to make an FPS, low poly shooter pack. You can use that. There's also other shooter packs. There's easy weapons. Trying to make a 2D roguelite, 3D game kit. There's a lot of things here. I'm going to be using this here, the third person controller. Open that in Unity and import that. Import. And there's going to be a couple other things that we're going to need to import as well. We're going to jump over to toon shading. There's a free toon shading that I just found out about recently. I wish I knew about it earlier. I paid $20 for what I use for Push. And then we'll open that in here as well as soon as the project is finished importing the other package. And I might as well open up all the other packages we're going to be using. Amplify color, and then this RPG/FPS game asset for PC mobile industrial environment. Okie dokie. And we're going to make a new folder, and it's going to be the models folder because I'm going to drop in a character that I made in a previous video, Kami Guard. And materials won't be set up properly, so we're just going to switch over to OToon. And I'll go over to project settings and graphics. We want to change the script pull render pipeline over to the one that OToon gives us, and perfect. Now we can see our character through it. I'm going to change the sun because I want to be able to have more light on the character's face. And then we're just going to jump into Kami Guard, and we're going to add the base color here, switch a couple things around. I want the lighting to be toon. Perfect, love that. And then we're going to turn on outlines, and I think I like where the outlines are now. Not too heavy, pretty light. I'll turn on rim lighting. If you have other things that you want to edit, change around, you can go ahead and do that. Check out these options if you're using OToon for whatever project you have going on. At this point, we have a character that can be used just with a few settings being tweaked. I'm going to jump into the third person plus fly pack that I installed first there. And we're going to go over to prefabs, and we have this character here, this Shadow, which is the character that they set up with the rigid body, capsule collider, the animator, and all the basic things for movement and whatnot. I'm going to drop Kami Guard into that folder, into the little file structure that was put into the hierarchy. I'm going to turn off skeleton and mesh, because we don't need that anymore. And now we want the animations to be applied to Kami Guard. So what we'll do is we'll click on Kami Guard. You'll see this avatar section here under animator. Click on that, click back on Shadow, drag and drop that avatar into the main animator here. Change the name to whatever you want, Kami G. And I'm just gonna drop that into the root asset folder. You can make a prefab folder if you want. You generally do want to do that because you'll end up having a lot of those. But for this project, we don't need to. And original prefab. Now what we'll do is we are going to jump into the RPG FPS assets, and I'll jump into the map. Everything's going to start off like this just because all these assets are set up with mobile diffuse, and we are using the universal render pipeline. So what we were going to want to do is switch over to lit. Or, of course, we have our little shader. So what you could do as well is you could go OToon lit. One problem with doing it this way is, as you can see, the textures have been taken off, and that means you're gonna have to go into each folder that these come from, and you're going to have to apply the texture there, just like that. Problem with that is there's a lot of assets here. I don't want to do that, and for the purpose of this video, using universal lit works perfectly. So we're going to click on another asset that's pink here. We're going to click on the material, and then we'll jump into edit, rendering, materials, convert selected built-in materials to URP, and proceed. And I'll go ahead and do that to everything in this space here. All right, there we go. Now we have all of the materials set. I'm gonna drag in our character here, our Kamiji. Just right over here. I'm gonna turn him 90 degrees. And what we'll do is we'll jump into the camera. If I click on game here, you're gonna see there's no skybox. I don't like that. It's set to solid color. I'll go skybox, and there we go. Now we can jump in here and see how it looks. All right, cool. Yeah, you technically have a base to start off with now. You got a character that can move around, that can jump around. You probably want to switch up certain values, make it so that the character is moving how you want your character to move better. Like for me, this feels a little floaty, especially when the character is jumping. You can see when the character runs and jumps, it's the same speed as if they were walking and jumping. I don't like that, so I'd probably switch out a few different things like that. Another thing is you can look at the character, you can look at the environment, and you can see that they don't really mesh that well. So there's a couple things we can do for that. We're gonna start off with the easiest thing. We're gonna add some post-processing to this. I liked what the other scene had set up. They had a global volume with a few things already on. So what I'll do is I'll create an empty object and I'll just call it volume. Now I don't remember what the asset exactly is. Is it just the volume asset? Sample scene, and the weight is already up. So what we'll do is we'll jump back into the Kami guard and we're going to click on the main camera and turn on post-processing. All right, perfect. A couple other things that I would like to add is because we added the, amplify color. What we can do, I'm actually gonna just jump into samples, go premium. I'm not even gonna actually use the assets in there, just specifically the LUTs they give us. We can jump back into the volume, add override, post-processing, and we're gonna add color lookup. Turn both of these things on. I'm gonna turn contribution all the way up. And what I like from here is the F2AA3. There we go. And I'm gonna use it at like 0.878. Perfect. You can add any other effects that you like. I usually like having an ambient occlusion, but there isn't any of that. I'd probably have to get something from the asset store. And Amplify actually has one that can be used if you want to use something like that. I'm gonna add depth of field and use Gaussian here. I like where the start is. I'd like the end to be a lot more, so like 100 or something like that. And there we go. Now if we were to jump back in here, all right, what we've done now is we've married the colors together a bit. We've added a bit of a filter that marries the colors together, marries the scene a bit better. Then again, one thing that does still look bad is the fact that the textures are trying to be like hyper realistic while the character is obviously toon. So there are a couple things you can do for that. What I like to do first is switch the shader so it matches better. For some reason I can't click on the ground, so I have to click select area and then look for the ground piece that I selected. So wooden box is there, and where is that ground piece? Road, there we go. All right. So I'll click on, I already have like a PSD of the new road. Let me just get rid of that. And we're gonna click on the road asset here. If I double click it, I will open up to Photoshop. That's something that you can set up for yourself. Under the edit, preferences, and external tools, I have it set up so that images will open with, oh, never mind, I don't have that set up, but it would be this option here, image application, browse. And you can choose whatever you're using, Photoshop, GIMP, whatever it is. All right, so we'll jump into Photoshop, and now we got this texture here. I'm gonna just duplicate the layers twice. I want one for lines, and I want one to be pretty much the actual texture itself. This one, I'm just keeping it just in case I end up wanting to add any more filters to this. If you're somebody who likes to hand paint and you're good at that, you can just go ahead and do that over top of this. I'm not. So what I like to do is I go image, image, adjustments, black and white. And then we're gonna go image, image, adjustment, levels. Drop the black a bit, bring up the white a bunch to the point that we got like some nice lines going on here. Okay, Good stuff. And then filter gallery. And perfect, we're already on the right thing. Under sketch, I use graphic pen. And for that, I am going to switch it over to multiply, and I use it usually around 80 to 70. And then for text here, we go under filter gallery. And under artistic, what I like to use here is the palette knife. And switch that to whatever you would like it to be. I'm gonna switch it to 20 here. And there we go. We got something that looks a lot more graphically done, hand painted, filtered, and we're just gonna save it in the same folder there. Open here, and there we go. So now we can click here, and we can switch it over. You can change things as you see fit. Like, the middle of the road is a little dark, so what you can do for that is you can add click on lines there. I'm gonna add like a black and white mask. Click on the brush here, turn the hardness all the way off, turn this up, and switch black with white here by going X. And then what I can do is I can just remove it from the center there. I don't want to remove absolutely everything, so I'm going to change the opacity to 50%. And I'm just going to go over the middle. And I'm going to do it again. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the flow down. There we go, 55. We'll give that a shot. And there we go, a lot lighter. And I always like to have an outline on here. I have it set to 10. You can see the road now when we're in here compared to what it looked like before. There we go, a lot more toony. I like that. We're gonna do the same thing with this building. And it's exactly the same process. I have the texture here, so we'll just plug that in there. You can see what it looks like compared to what it looked like before. Love that. Switch it over to the Otune Lit shader. Make sure I have my outlines enabled and good to go. And I did a third one as well. Jump over here. Same process. Otune. And now when we jump into the game, of course, everything else you'd want to go around and get every single texture here. Yeah, there you go. Got the side, you got this building here. Love it. Things fit a lot better. Yeah, and from this point you can go wild. You can add like a weapons pack. If you don't want to script that, there was that simple weapons pack there. If you do want to script that, go ahead. A lot of whatever you want specifically will need to be scripted. Of course, if you have packs that you've bought already that give you a lot of stuff, perfect, use that. That's what I use for a lot of the work that I do nowadays. I don't like to do a lot of things from scratch just because the motivation to work on a project, it's hard to come by at times. It's hard to come by when you've just been going through project graveyards a ton, something that I have done so much. So now I jump into packs, I set them up. When I need specific code, I will write that code. I have enough coding knowledge to be able to debug code that I get from assets. So that's another thing you would want to be able to do. And then I have enough knowledge with things like Photoshop and 3D modeling that I can make characters, that I can do stuff like this where I rework a texture. So yeah, just jump around, see what you can do, find the assets that you need. You don't need to make it hard. You don't need to do everything from scratch. Nobody's telling you to do that. If you're singular game developer, definitely don't do that. If you're small, like indie studio, you don't need to do that unless you guys really wanna. But yeah, get started. You got this. Look at that. In no time at all. In 26 minutes, in 26 recording minutes that are gonna be dropped down to probably like 5 actual video minutes. This is what we got. I can run around. Of course, there's no enemies, but you can find an enemy AI pack if you want. You can get guns in here. You can get you got half a game here. Look at that. Pow! Awesome. I see you later.